Mercedes Vito baseline plus general walkthrough. I won't cover the rib bed in this video, as that's covered in a separate video, and I won't cover the pop-top roof again, as that's covered in a separate video. So we'll briefly go across the gas components, the electrical components, the lighting, and the swivel front seats. So starting with the gas, the location of the gas bottle can be found under this lift up lid and through this hatch down in there. So in this instance it's there for demonstration purposes. So there's a securing strap within that and a full floor vent. You'll need to gain access to that to turn the regulator on and off every time you wish to use it. Make sure that is on. What we then have is the double hob and sink unit and the SMEV gas grill, domestic gas grill. So in order to operate the gas rings, you have to rotate the knob and hold it down, and you'll hear gas starting to escape. Once you've got this rotated, you need to hit this striker whilst having this pushed down. So with that pushed down, and hold it down for a couple of seconds once the flame is ignited, and then you are free to control it via the regulator knob. And that's the same for the other ring as well. To turn it off, just turn the knob all the way to the right. Ideally you're going to want to let this all cool down before you close those lids down, and try not to close the lids while the flame is still alight, because it will just result in a broken piece of glass. The sink is obviously drained to the outside of the vehicle via the plug, and then the tap, as soon as you pull the switch, operates the pump in the water tank. Now the water tank is located at the back of the van in the back cupboard, which I'll show you shortly. The gas grill, similar operation, without the manuals in place. You have a utility light so you can see what's going on in there, and then same principle, you need to rotate this knob round, push the knob in, and with your other hand push the igniter button, and the gas burner at the top should ignite. I don't have enough hands to do that. Yeah, I don't have enough hands to do it. It will go. I can smell the gas. When you're not using any of the gas, it's prudent to turn the gas bottle off inside that cupboard, which I won't demonstrate right now, so we'll move on to the next bit. So we have LED lights through the van, spotlights which are controlled by this light switch on the side wall, along with a 12 volt socket and a 240 volt socket. This 240 volt socket and the same one on the other side, these are only operational when you are plugged in to a mains hookup, either on a caravan site or at home. They do not operate whilst you are either driving or not plugged in anywhere. The 12 volt sockets will operate all the time. They run from the leisure battery. So the flyover LED light is dimmable. This grey button on the right hand side, if you push it and hold it down whilst it's bright, it will then dim down. Wherever you let go of that, at whatever brightness of the light, it stays there, and it will remember that position each time you turn it on and off. and then it's a reverse for making it brighter. To turn it off and on, you touch it for a moment. In order to dim and brighten it, you need to hold your finger on it in order to adjust it. So there's various other storage pockets. There's shelving in the wardrobe units. There's a large drawer at the bottom here. Two large storage areas in the overhead flyover. Then we have the fridge. So 12 volt only fridge. Whenever you open the door, the light will come on, but the fridge is not on. In order to turn the fridge on, you have this dial down in the bottom corner. So to turn it off, you rotate it to the off position. To turn it on, just rotate it to whichever position you want on the thermostat here. Now these fridges are very, very efficient. So they only run on 12 volt power. However, it will require a certain amount of management, which you'll get very, very quickly used to. So whilst it's cooling down from warm, that's when it will be using its most energy. What you want to do is get into a position that you know that you can turn that dial down to the lowest possible digit, that everything that you have in there stays cold. Basically, the lower this is set to, the less frequently it needs to switch on, which will then in turn prolong the battery life. That said, it's not like it's going to run out in a few minutes. This will last 2 or 3 days without any interference. And turning it off, rotate it all the way around to vertical, and you have an ice box in the top there. Now the electrics, they're all based under the driver's seat. Can't really see it from here, but there's the charging unit, the consumer unit for the mains hookup, as well as the solar panel controller, which if we take a look out on the top there, 160 watt solar panel. So this activates whenever there's, well, even artificial light, but any sort of light, it activates. The control unit that's under the seat is what does the work in terms of deciding whether the battery needs any charge and how much it can be given ultimately. If it doesn't need any, it won't send any to it, so you can't overcharge the battery. The battery will also charge every time you start the engine and whilst you're on mains hookup, so you should never be without 12 volt power. The other feature that's in this vehicle is your diesel night heater, which is controlled from here. As soon as you touch a button, it lights up. So it's currently 22 degrees in here. Now if you scroll through and that fan button is flashing and you press OK, it just turns the fan on. It doesn't turn the heater on, just turns the fan in the heater on, so it's moving air around. Press it again and it's off. When the wiggly line is flashing, that is what switches the heater itself on and off. So with that flashing, you press OK, the heater switches on to the last known temperature that you set for it. In order to change the temperature, hold down one of the 2 arrows and then you have the set point temperature comes on, and you can then select whichever temperature you want from that and press OK. That then switches the heater on. Pressing the button again switches it off. Now the heater won't start instantly and it won't shut down instantly either, so it has to go through a start up and shut down cycle. So give it 3 or 4 minutes to start up and then give it 5 minutes or so to cool down when you switch it off before it completely turns itself off. Hot air comes out of the duct there and the cold air goes into the heater in the passenger footwell. Now the swivel seats, quite straightforward. In fact, I'll turn this one round So we can start from forward facing. So what you'll need to do to start with, so from the seated position as if you were driving, you need to pull the seat forwards on the lever that's at the front. Doesn't have to be all the way forward, it just needs to be pulled slightly forward. And then you have this little red lever on the right hand side. You need to pull that, and then you can rotate the seat. The reason we need to slide the seat forward is so that it clears the B pillar. Alternatively, you could adjust the backrest so it tilts forward and clears it. Then simply push and the seat spins. You can then push the seat back a bit further to gain some extra space. And that is the same principle for the driver's seat. You do have to bear in mind that you've also got the steering wheel to clear as well as the B pillar. So you might have to adjust the backrest and move the seat forward, or even move the steering wheel all the way forward, depending on where you need the seat to sit. So, as I said earlier, plenty of storage. So there's storage cupboards under the rib bed, and you can access that from the top as well via the seat base when it's folded over. And then in the back of the van we have water bottles, water bottle even, located in the back there and strapped down. There's still some storage space in there for whatever you need to put in there. And we have a table leg for one of the two tables. Not currently in the van, so I won't demonstrate them. That table leg sits down in this socket, and then you tighten it into place with this screw bolt, and it serves the person in the passenger seat. The end of the worktop serves the person in the driver's seat, and then there's a removable table which clips onto that rail that runs across the front of the units. Both tables are removable, so you can stow them out the way wherever you want, whilst they're not being used. And that's it, quite straightforward. The simplicity is key with this vehicle and this all of our installations. All the electrical systems are standalone, so if there is a problem, you can check the fuses, which are all located under the driver's seat. The mains hookup plug is located in the engine bay, so you can, when you are at a campsite, you can plug in without having to crawl around on the floor. And then you can also close the engine lid down on top of it so that it's locked away and no one else can get to it. Blackout curtains throughout. And ready to be going camping. Thanks very much for watching.